I think most people, when they're winning, they think about who was good to them from who was not. And it's very easy to get to a point of almost being exactly like people who probably treated you in a way that you weren't happy about when you weren't winning. Because everybody on some level wants to be the one that's winning. Although some people don't really want the responsibility and the work attached to getting to the point of winning. So it's kind of contradictory on some level. So today we're talking about you win if everybody else. Is that a yes or no answer? What do you guys think? I'm Michelle Samuels for White Goals ID, and today we're talking about winning and your one's attitude after winning and why it's important to think very carefully when you're goal setting about that final outcome and that point that you're going to get to before you actually get there. So normally when normally not norm well yeah, I guess we could say normally when you're at the point of doing the complete opposite of what would normally be done in terms of winning, which is to be in the position of losing, you tend to learn a lot. What do you learn if you choose it? If you are the person that chooses to learn, because what happens on the journey, sometimes a lot of people get very bitter, and it's very difficult to let go of the past and how people treat others when they're not the one in the position of being, or they're not the one in an advantageous position. Now, on my own journey, I've learned that I have options in terms of how I'd approach life. I've been through the path of, to be honest, I wouldn't even say losing, because when I look at my path, I think every single event and experience was relevant to me being able to learn something if I choose it. Sometimes it's necessary to not learn, to not learn, but to just be very decisive in terms of building some sort of character in yourself. So you have to ask yourself, how important is the past to you? Because I've observed a lot of information about, just F everybody else when you get there. Let's cut off the whole concept of who was behind us, how they treated us, and the relevance of them to the new life that you're looking forward to. You can kind of understand why people would want to disconnect from other people and experiences and sometimes places in order to advance themselves. Why do people do this? And it's very unique to each person's situation, because some people can't even disconnect from the everyday to be able to get to certain outcomes, much less to do a complete analysis about whether or not certain people are relevant to their lives and how it's affecting them on some level. So I think it's important to actually look at your own design as a person. It's not really wise to follow what everybody else is doing in terms of being a decision maker in your own life. Because remember, when you're setting your goals, the quality of the outcome and the feeling that you're going to get behind that or after that is very relevant, and it's a very personal thing. So you may see somebody else that takes an approach that is one where they can disconnect completely from a whole society of people or family or associations and so on. And you try that, you actually go in that direction, and what you find is that when you do go in that direction, it just makes you either very unhappy, very lonely, or you just can't cope. while some other while some other people, sorry, there was a pause in the video, while some other people, it's okay for them, they can embrace new people, new encounters, and so on. However, remember, when you're embracing those new people, new experiences, and new encounters, there will come a point where you have to face off with similarities from the old aspect of your life, that past life, because many people operate on very similar but unique tangents, and those new people, new experiences, and so on will eventually become just as regular or normal or relevant as the old experience was. So you have a choice in what you decide to do from there, because most people are, sometimes what we do is that we look at the situation and we project that it's gonna consistently or continuously be on the same tangent, it won't change. So you project into the future, you say, okay, I'm gonna win, and when I win, this is how it's gonna be. But when you get there, change comes in, and if you don't factor in the change aspects of it and the similarities from the past experience, then you may find yourself in a position where you're regretful. Why do you become regretful? Because mm, many experiences, although different, are similar. And one other thing is that you have a choice in terms of the character that you're creating for yourself. You want to grow into your own character, but at the same time, you have to, not you have to, as a matter of choice, you may want to think about, how are you going to approach those past experiences, because remember, in going into the new experiences, there's a new version of you as well, and there was an old version of you in that past experience. So the old version of you that is in the past experience is not really, people aren't necessarily used to that version of you. You've evolved maybe to that version of you, or maybe that was a part of you that was a repressed part or a hidden part, or a part that, based on the people and the energies and the experiences that you were encountering, was creating a personality that you decided to walk away from because it was an unsuccessful outcome. So the question you have to ask yourself is, how are you gonna deal with the fact that when you do win and you get there, the winning time will pass, the winning experience will bring new experiences with a new version of you, with elements of you that were from the past experience, that were unknown to those people that were before. And how do you deal with those people from the past experience, because they themselves as well have probably evolved and changed, or just remain constant depending on the choices that they've made. So if that's a version of you that they weren't aware of, you it's important for you to reflect on those different elements. How relevant was the past to the old version of you? And this new version of you, is it consistent with who you are? And when you move to the new experiences, will you create another version of yourself to be able to move past that experience? And how do you deal with those people in that new experience? So for me, I had to take some time to look at look at the relevance of each person and encounter on my life path prior to getting to the point where I'm able to construct something that seems more solid in comparison to what was there before. And I had a choice to make. Now I could become very bitter because many people, because because of ill treatment, or because of their responses to others or responses to situations. And I think to a certain degree, a lack of understanding of self and how to process that on some level without being offensive to others. And there's a specific reason why I do say to a certain degree there's a lack of understanding of self. Now, what they do sometimes without even realizing it, and I've done it as well, is carry a lot of the past with them from a viewpoint that is not necessarily in their best interest. And they don't know how to separate themselves from other people's stories. And we tend to latch on to other people's stories as if it's our own. And sometimes you'll encounter somebody on the path, and it can be a one off situation, or it's a bad day, or it's just circumstantial that you were the last person that they encountered on that day in that frame of mind. And you got the full length of what they were storing up for somebody else. So it's important to kind of guard yourself, because the factors of uncertainty and change are very relevant. So when you're winning, it's good. It's good to get excited about winning, but it's also good to celebrate the people who were on the path with you, whether it is they were on the path with you in a negative way or a positive way. Why do I say that? Because it's easy to celebrate those that were on the path with you in a good way. But if you got the support, and you got a consistent, like, good outcome and all the positives, you wouldn't have become who you are. So those people that seemed like they took negative experiences and reactions and actions and decisions that impacted you on some level were just as valuable as those who were there to be able to support you. Who you choose to be in the face of the final outcomes is very relevant. So you can become very bitter, and you can say, okay, these people did that to me, these people did that to me, this to me, that to me. And as a result, I'm gonna be like this, I'm gonna be like that. Some people you just definitely, and situations, circumstances, and places, you definitely have to disconnect from, no question. But it's good to show it's almost showing a respect to the balance of the experience that was there previously. It's showing a respect to who you were at that point in time and who those people were, and understanding that we're all learning on the journey, and as we learn and we grow, we can choose if we want to become a greater version of ourselves, or still remain stuck in the past with that version of the old self that is working against us. But we find ourselves in new experiences, and then we revert back to the old way of being, because no matter what experience you're in, at some point it will become an old experience, and it will then be the past. So, carrying a lot of pain and baggage from the past without processing it in a construct that is advantageous can create a character in you where even when you're winning, you're really losing, because you win from a material standpoint, you win from an objective standpoint, you win from a goal setting standpoint, but you don't win from a self growth development standpoint. And as you're going along the tangent, you're wondering, why is it that you're unhappy? Or why is it that you're lonely? Or why is it that you're regretful? Or why is it that you keep looking back? And the reason why you do all of that, potentially or possibly, is because you didn't actually, it didn't align with the greater part of you, because there's still a version of you latently there, sitting there, saying that I could have dealt with this on a higher level. I could have been more empathetic to others. I could have understood that life was trying to teach me through those people and experiences. I could have been a different version of myself, but at that point, I was still almost like a child in the game. I was still learning from the environment. The next thing is that when you win, remember, you win, you get to the point, and then when you get to the point, you're asking yourself, okay, what's next? So there must be different levels of winning. So when you're constructing your goals, and you're creating a design for your life, it's important to look beyond the goal. It's important to have another level. It's important about who you are, what you stand for as a consistent trend underline, eventually, if not initially. And there will be new things that you learn about yourself. And sometimes there are points in time where you will definitely have to stand up for yourself. You will have to learn to walk away. You will have to be able to voice your opinion on or in such a way, with depending on the environment that gets the information across, that maybe others observing may be thinking, oh wow, I would never handle it that way in another environment. But remember, as you goal setting, you're looking for the fullness of the experience. Not everybody's going to celebrate you. Not everybody was put on the path to be able to support you. Not everybody's going to be kind to you. There are so many different versions of people that you're going to be dealing with, that the most important thing to be learned from the whole experience is who you are in the experience, who you want to become, what levels do you want to reach to, why it's important for you to be celebrated by others, why are you doing what you're doing, what are you willing to give up to get to where you're going. And do you really have to give it up? Why are you giving it up? Is it because others are saying that it makes good sense to do it that way? And sometimes, I mean, within the framework of saying that it's quite early over here as usual in London. So I've just gotten up. I've been trying to work on this thing for some time. This thing was giving me a bit of a challenge in terms of getting the whole thing going, the thumbnail and so on. But so what we're saying now is that there, remember now that there are different reactions, different emotions, different labels, different designs. There are so many different reasons why things happen. And on that basis, is almost necessary to understand how you are, how you respond, and how you're going to learn to it's almost counter respond to certain things to grow and to be able to have that balance in life. If it's necessary for you to be celebrated by one person, if you're okay because you like being an introvert or extrovert, what is your personality and how will you react to those people who have walked away from you because they think that I can't grow on the level that she's growing or he's growing, and or if you've grown on some level, it's as if you look down on the people that are behind you who haven't grown, or you're experiencing envy or jealousy, and you don't know how to process or block that or look beyond that to the greater picture and the greater outcomes and the greater things that are ahead that will benefit not only you, your household, and the environment that you're in, but the society and the societies at large. For me, it was, I think I went through a lot of different feelings about the whole journey, because there were times where I was very angry. I was angry, I think more so angry in that, not angry like, oh my God, I'm gonna retaliate, I'm gonna do something. No, but I think I was disappointed in myself. Why was I disappointed in myself? Because I'm very hard on myself. And it's as if there's something inside of you that wants to come out and be given to the world, but you have to go through a process. And sometimes when you're going through that process, you want to get there so quickly, but it's not about the win, it's about the experience, it's about the journey, it's about what happens in the in between. So you want to ask yourself, when you win, is it about saying F everybody else? Because in saying F everybody else, you may just eventually be latching on to a whole concept of saying F everybody else as you go along. And the win is just, it has no value to you eventually. And you look back on the path and you're asking yourself, why did I do all of this? It's worth nothing to me. But this doesn't deviate from the fact that it's important to know who to disconnect from, when to walk away, and who to not connect with in the first place because of the desires and things that you're going after. But sometimes it's actually a test. It's a test of character, it's a test of self, it's a test of how you operate within your greater self, even when you don't come to the greater version of yourself. Because what do you do when you get there? There's still a learning, there's still development, there's still exploration, there's still new old experiences. And sometimes on the path, you never know who from the old experience can move into the new experience, because you didn't learn something, or they're there to highlight the fact that it's necessary for you to learn how to process the whole experience rather than a portion of it in relation to what other people are saying to you is best, and what other people are saying to you should be celebrated. Because your pleasures and wins your pleasures and wins won't necessarily be a pleasure and win for somebody else, but it's really great when you do something that is beneficial not only to self but to the overall society at large. And when I say the overall society at large, it could be a small society, it could be just a community response, it could be just how you carry yourself in yourself. Because some environments, no matter how you fight against what is, it is what it is, but how you carry yourself in the whole situation will make you a winner on some level that doesn't necessitate being celebrated. So I'm going to close by saying, think carefully while we're moving forward to set these goals about who you perceive yourself to be, in on the different levels at different times on the path that is ahead of you. And be careful as well about, how the decisions that you make and how you come across to others, because the worst thing is to become what you hated, or not hated, I don't like that word, but the worst thing is to become what you actually disliked from what was before, and then realizing that the judgment that you had put on others, that there was some logic in it, or the judgment that you had put on others, it was unfair to them, or the judgment that you had put on others has now become your judgment on some other level. So I'm gonna close now. I'm Michelle Samuels for Why Goals ID. So we're going into what is this? The end of February, and we're really excited. We're almost at 30,000 views now, and the subscribers are growing. Don't forget, guys, subscribe to the channel. No problem. Make a comment. There's a lot of things coming in a minute. Well, not literally a minute, but very, very soon. There are a lot of changes on the channel as well that will move in the direction of actually getting into the goal setting part of it, the achievement part of it, and the work that we're doing in the background to be able to say that you guys and women and young people and people of different age groups, you can do it. But when you're doing it, remember, do it for you first. That's the important part of it. But don't forget the other people that create the beauty of the experience on the path as well. So have a great weekend. We're gonna put out some more videos hopefully this weekend. and take good care of yourselves.